Because everyone is here and the media is here, let me make it clear. I have no ambition to be a president. I'm a public servant, and all I want to do is serve the people. So even though I'm a little older now, if you will have me, I will always be there, inshallah, to serve the people. But as I said, on the international stage, we relate very well. We may not have shared perspectives on everything.
Should African nations collaborate with the West? Dr. Naledi Pandor opposed a potential agreement between Zambia and Britain, asserting that it would result in exploitation and that Africa could not endure such treatment any longer. The proposed deal promises Zambia billions of pounds, but in exchange, it would compromise the country's freedom, prosperity, and sovereignty. Should Zambia proceed with this deal, or will they heed Dr. Pandor's warning? Let's find out. South Africa's Foreign Minister, Dr. Naledi Pandor, has warned Zambia sternly about a proposed trade deal with Great Britain. This advisory comes at a critical time as the global north, including major economies such as the United States and its allies, increasingly seeks access to raw minerals and energy resources abundant in Africa. Zambia's recent discovery of significant cobalt and titanium deposits places it at the center of this global scramble, making the terms of its trade agreements particularly consequential. Dr. Pandor's warning is not merely about the potential economic pitfalls, but also addresses broader geopolitical implications. By urging Zambia to ensure that any deal with Britain includes provisions for local production and value addition, rather than just exporting raw materials, South Africa highlights the need for African nations to protect their long-term economic interests. This development raises important questions about the balance of power in international trade, the role of African countries in the global supply chain, and the strategies needed to prevent exploitative practices by foreign powers. The outcome of this situation could set a significant precedent for future resource-based trade deals across the continent. But why did Dr. Naledi Pandor say it? The recent warning from South Africa's Foreign Minister, Dr. Naledi Pandor, to Zambia regarding a potential trade deal with Great Britain is a significant development in African geopolitics. Dr. Pandor, known for her diplomatic acumen and strategic insight, has cautioned Zambia to carefully scrutinize the terms of any agreements with foreign powers, particularly about their newly discovered cobalt and titanium deposits. Dr. Pandor's advisory stems from a broader concern about global powers' exploitation of African resources. She emphasized the need for Zambia to ensure that any deal includes robust provisions for local production and value addition. Instead of merely exporting raw minerals, Zambia should aim to process and add value to these resources within the country. This approach would generate more revenue, create jobs, and foster industrial development, thereby boosting the local economy. But why is Britain interested in Zambia's resources? Zambia's recent discovery of significant cobalt and titanium deposits has drawn international attention. These minerals are crucial for a variety of advanced technologies. Cobalt is essential for producing batteries, particularly for electric vehicles and renewable energy storage. At the same time, titanium is used extensively in aerospace, medical devices, and military applications due to its strength, lightweight, and corrosion resistance. Britain, represented by Foreign Minister James Cleverly, has shown substantial interest in Zambia's mineral and renewable energy sectors. The proposed investment package from Britain includes £2.5 billion from the private sector and an additional £500 million in government-backed investments. This considerable financial commitment highlights Zambia's resources' strategic importance in the global supply chain. But why does Dr. Pandor not want Zambia to take this deal? Dr. Pandor's advice highlights a critical aspect often overlooked in trade negotiations involving African resources: the need for local production and value addition. Historically, African countries have exported raw materials only to buy back the finished products at a premium. This model drains resources and deprives these countries of the opportunity to develop their industries and economies. By insisting on value addition, Zambia can ensure that a larger share of the economic benefits from its mineral wealth stays within the country. This could involve setting up processing plants, developing local expertise, and creating ancillary industries around the primary resource sector. The long-term benefits of such an approach are substantial, including increased employment, higher GDP growth, and greater economic resilience. And what potential risks are associated with this deal? While promising significant investments, the proposed trade deal with Britain also carries potential risks. One major concern is the possibility of unfavorable terms that could lock Zambia into a cycle of dependency and exploitation. Without stringent conditions ensuring local benefits, Zambia might end up exporting raw materials at low prices and importing finished products at high costs. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. Moreover, there is the risk of environmental degradation and social displacement. If managed responsibly, large-scale mining operations can lead to severe environmental damage, including deforestation, soil erosion, and water pollution. Communities living in mining areas could face displacement, loss of livelihoods, and social disruption. Dr. Pandor's warning calls for greater African unity and strategic vigilance. She emphasized that African countries must support each other in negotiations with foreign powers to avoid exploitative deals. By presenting a united front, African nations can leverage their collective strength to secure better terms and protect their long-term interests. This unity is crucial in addressing the historical power imbalances in international trade. African countries have often been disadvantaged due to a lack of infrastructure, expertise, and negotiating power. However, collaborating and sharing resources and knowledge can enhance their bargaining position and ensure that trade deals contribute to sustainable development. But did the world take Dr. Pandor's warning about how she meant it? The immediate reactions to Dr. Pandor's warning have been mixed. Some Zambian officials and industry stakeholders have supported her stance, acknowledging the importance of ensuring that the country's mineral wealth translates into tangible benefits for its people. They recognize the potential of local production and value addition to transform Zambia's economy and reduce dependency on foreign aid and imports. However, there are also voices advocating for a more cautious approach, pointing out the country's immediate financial needs. They argue that foreign investments, even with less favorable terms, could provide the necessary capital to jumpstart the economy and address pressing issues such as poverty, unemployment, and infrastructure deficits. Moving forward, Zambia faces a critical decision. The government needs to weigh the immediate financial benefits of the proposed deal against the long-term economic and social implications. Engaging through negotiations to incorporate provisions for local production and value addition will be essential. Additionally, seeking advice and support from other African nations and international organizations can help ensure that Zambia secures a fair and beneficial agreement. Now let's talk about resources. Why is there a global demand for African resources? And how does it affect Zambia? Africa has abundant natural resources, ranging from minerals and energy to agricultural products and rare earth elements. These resources are in high demand globally, driven by the exponential growth of emerging economies, technological advancements, and shifts in global supply chains. As a result, African countries like Zambia find themselves at the center of a complex web of economic interests and geopolitical rivalries. The rapid industrialization and urbanization of emerging economies, particularly in Asia, have fueled the demand for raw materials and energy sources. China, in particular, has emerged as a major player in the global commodities market, importing vast quantities of minerals and metals to support its manufacturing and infrastructure projects. This voracious appetite for resources has led to a surge in demand for African commodities, including copper, cobalt, gold, and oil. Technological advancements have further amplified the demand for African resources. The proliferation of electric vehicles, renewable energy systems, and high-tech gadgets has created a growing need for minerals such as cobalt, lithium, and rare earth elements. These minerals are essential in batteries, solar panels, and electronics, increasing prices, exploration, and production in Africa. With its rich mineral deposits, Zambia is strategically positioned in the global resource market. The extraction and processing of natural resources can have significant environmental and social impacts, both locally and globally. Large-scale mining operations often result in deforestation, soil erosion, water pollution, and habitat destruction, threatening biodiversity and ecosystem services. Moreover, mining activities can disrupt local communities, leading to displacement, loss of livelihoods, and conflicts over land and resources. Zambia must adopt sustainable mining practices that minimize environmental degradation and mitigate the social impacts of resource extraction. This requires stringent regulations, effective enforcement mechanisms, and meaningful engagement with affected communities. By prioritizing environmental and social sustainability, Zambia can ensure its resource wealth contributes to long-term prosperity and well-being. The global demand for African resources has intensified geopolitical competition and strategic rivalries among major powers. China's growing presence in Africa, characterized by large-scale investments in infrastructure and natural resource extraction, has raised concerns among Western countries about Beijing's expanding influence on the continent. The United States and its allies increasingly focus on countering China's influence in Africa, viewing the continent as a battleground for geopolitical supremacy. In this context, Zambia must navigate complex geopolitical dynamics and forge strategic partnerships that serve its national interests. Balancing competing interests and leveraging relationships with multiple actors will be crucial for Zambia to maximize the benefits of its resource wealth while safeguarding its sovereignty and independence. Should Dr. Pandor's words be given any importance? Dr. Naledi Pandor, South Africa's foreign minister, has garnered widespread praise and admiration for her exceptional diplomatic skills, visionary leadership, and unwavering commitment to advancing African interests on the global stage. Throughout her tenure, Dr. Pandor has distinguished herself as a formidable advocate for peace, prosperity, and cooperation, earning accolades from domestic and international observers. At the heart of Dr. Pandor's diplomatic approach lies a steadfast belief in the power of dialogue and cooperation to resolve complex international challenges. Throughout her career, she has consistently sought to foster constructive engagement and mutual understanding among nations, emphasizing the importance of diplomacy for conflict resolution and consensus building. Dr. Pandor's diplomatic finesse was on full display during South Africa's tenure as a non-permanent United Nations Security Council member. In this role, she played a pivotal role in advancing South Africa's foreign policy objectives, promoting peace and security in conflict-affected regions, and advocating for the interests of the African continent. Her efforts were widely praised for their effectiveness and pragmatism, earning her respect and admiration from her peers on the global stage. Dr. Pandor is widely regarded as a voice of reason and integrity in a world of uncertainty and turmoil. Her principled stance on human rights, democracy, and good governance has earned her admiration from human rights activists, civil society organizations, and ordinary citizens. In particular, Dr. Pandor's unwavering commitment to upholding democratic values and principles has been instrumental in consolidating South Africa's reputation as a beacon of democracy on the African continent. Her advocacy for free and fair elections, respect for the rule of law, and protection of fundamental freedoms have helped reinforce South Africa's leadership in promoting democratic governance and human rights. As one of South Africa's most prominent female leaders, Dr. Pandor is an inspiring role model for women and girls nationwide and beyond. Her remarkable career trajectory, from academic scholar to political leader, exemplifies women's potential to excel in traditionally male-dominated fields and shatter glass ceilings. Throughout her career, Dr. Pandor has championed gender equality and women's empowerment, advocating for greater representation of women in politics, business, and academia. Her leadership has paved the way for future generations of women to pursue their ambitions and aspirations without fear of discrimination or prejudice, inspiring a new wave of female leaders to emerge and make their mark on the world. Dr. Pandor has demonstrated visionary leadership and strategic foresight in international affairs, positioning South Africa as a key player in global diplomacy and multilateral cooperation. Under her stewardship, South Africa has emerged as a respected voice in international forums, championing the interests of the global South and advocating for a more just and equitable world order. Dr. Pandor's efforts to promote South-South cooperation, strengthen regional integration, and address global challenges such as climate change, poverty, and inequality have earned her widespread acclaim from the international community. Her visionary leadership has helped elevate South Africa's profile on the world stage, enhancing its influence and credibility as a responsible global actor. Thus, it is important to notice what she says, because all she cares about is Africa. Let's say Zambia does not take this deal. What will it miss out on? The proposed trade deal between Zambia and Great Britain holds significant implications for the future trajectory of Zambia's economy, its relationship with foreign powers, and the welfare of its citizens. As Zambia weighs the benefits and risks of the agreement, it must carefully consider the potential short-term gains against the long-term consequences for its development aspirations, sovereignty, and economic independence. On the surface, the trade deal presents promising economic opportunities for Zambia. The influx of investment from Great Britain, totaling £3 billion, can stimulate economic growth, create jobs, and catalyze development in key sectors such as mining, renewable energy, and infrastructure. The prospect of increased trade and investment could also bolster Zambia's export competitiveness and diversify its revenue sources, reducing its dependence on volatile commodity markets. However, a complex web of economic challenges and vulnerabilities lies beneath the allure of foreign investment. Zambia's reliance on extractive industries, particularly copper mining, leaves it susceptible to fluctuations in global commodity prices and demand. Moreover, the trade deal terms must ensure that Zambia's natural resources are not exploited at the expense of its long-term development. Without adequate safeguards and regulatory mechanisms in place, there is a risk that the trade deal could perpetuate a cycle of resource dependency and economic inequality. The extraction and processing of natural resources, central to Zambia's economy, can have profound environmental and social consequences. Large-scale mining operations often result in deforestation, water pollution, and habitat destruction, threatening biodiversity and ecosystem services. Moreover, communities living in mining areas may experience displacement, loss of livelihoods, and social upheaval, exacerbating poverty and inequality. As Zambia seeks to attract foreign investment and promote economic development, it must prioritize sustainable and responsible resource management practices. This entails adopting stringent environmental regulations, investing in clean technologies, and engaging with local communities to mitigate the adverse impacts of mining activities. Failure to address these environmental and social concerns could undermine the long-term sustainability of Zambia's economy and jeopardize its social fabric. The trade deal between Zambia and Great Britain also occurs within a broader geopolitical context characterized by shifting power dynamics and strategic rivalries. Zambia's decision to enter into a trade agreement with Great Britain may have implications for its relationships with other foreign powers, particularly China, which has emerged as a major investor and trading partner in Africa. Navigating these geopolitical dynamics requires Zambia to balance competing interests and forge strategic partnerships that serve its national interests. While Great Britain's investment may offer short-term benefits, Zambia must consider the broader implications for its sovereignty, autonomy, and geopolitical positioning. Moreover, the trade deal should be guided by mutual respect, cooperation, and non-interference principles in domestic affairs, ensuring that Zambia retains agency and control over its economic destiny. At the heart of Zambia's development aspirations lies a commitment to promoting socio-economic development and inclusive growth. The trade deal presents an opportunity to advance these objectives by channeling investment into priority sectors such as education, healthcare, and social infrastructure. By investing in human capital and social services, Zambia can unlock the full potential of its people and build a more resilient and equitable society. However, to realize this vision, social justice, equity, and inclusivity principles must underpin the trade deal. This entails ensuring that the benefits of economic growth are shared equitably among all segments of society, including marginalized communities and vulnerable groups. Moreover, the trade deal should prioritize job creation, skills development, and poverty reduction, addressing the root causes of inequality and exclusion. Dr. Pandor says unity is the only solution to any problem. But how can African unity and self-advocacy influence trade negotiations? In the face of increasing global demand for African resources and the complexities of international trade, the call for African unity and self-advocacy has never been more urgent. African nations must unite to assert their collective interests, safeguard their natural resources, and ensure that trade agreements benefit their economies and people. African countries can strengthen their bargaining power by fostering unity and solidarity, promoting fair and equitable trade practices, and charting a path towards sustainable development and prosperity. Historically, Africa has been subjected to exploitation and marginalization in the global economy, with colonialism and imperialism leaving a legacy of economic dependence and underdevelopment. Despite achieving political independence, many African countries face systemic challenges such as poverty, inequality, and vulnerability to external shocks. The continent's vast natural resources have often been a source of wealth for foreign powers, rather than a driver of inclusive development for its people. In this context, African unity and self-advocacy are crucial for addressing the structural inequities and power imbalances in international trade relations. By speaking with one voice and presenting a unified front, African nations can challenge the status quo, assert their sovereignty, and demand fair treatment in global trade negotiations. One of the key benefits of African unity is the amplification of negotiating power in international trade forums. Individually, African countries may lack the leverage to secure favorable trade deals or resist unfair terms imposed by more powerful trading partners. However, by pooling their resources, coordinating their strategies, and presenting a united front, African nations can enhance their bargaining position and achieve better outcomes in trade negotiations. Moreover, African unity can facilitate the formation of regional blocs and economic communities, such as the African Union (AU) and the African Continental Free Trade Area (AFCFTA), which provide platforms for collective action and cooperation. These institutions enable African countries to harmonize their trade policies, eliminate barriers to intra-regional trade, and promote economic integration, thereby unlocking the full potential of the continent's markets and resources. Do you think Zambia should work with Britain, or should they listen to Dr. Pandor? Can Africa ever work with the West if they don't change? Let us know in the comments section. Do you believe Western nations can ever change when dealing with Africa? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.